Welcome to the Explainer. So, we're going to jump right in. We're in the middle of this massive shift in how we even understand our economy. I mean, we've got more data than ever, but here's the big question. Is it actually leading to smarter decisions?
Yeah, we're swimming in this absolute galaxy of data. And this explosion of information, it's forcing policymakers to basically rethink the entire playbook they use to guide our economies. It's not just about having more stuff, it's about figuring out what it all means.
And this isn't just a theoretical question, right? It became super urgent during the pandemic. Just think about it for a second. The official statistics, the numbers we've relied on for decades, they just couldn't keep up. Things were changing too fast. So central banks, like the US Fed, had to scramble. They had to pivot to these non-traditional data sources just to get a real-time pulse on what was actually happening.
So, let's be clear, this isn't just about getting more data. It's about a fundamental change in how we see the economy. It's like we're moving from a blurry old X-ray to a super high-resolution MRI.
So what exactly is this alternative data? Well, the source is what's so fascinating. It's basically the digital exhaust from our economic engine. Every time you swipe a credit card, or a company processes payroll, or you search for something online, all of that leaves behind this digital trail. And if you can harness that information, you can get a picture of the economy in, near real time.
This quote really hits the nail on the head. It perfectly captures the human side of this challenge. We have the technology. We have these incredibly clear, high-res pictures of the economy now. But the real hurdle is changing our mindset, It's about being willing to let go of those old, fuzzy images we were all trained to read and actually embrace these sharper, more detailed insights.
Now, it's super important to understand this isn't about replacing the old gold standard official stats. Not at all. Think of it as a crucial sidekick. Traditional data gives us that steady, reliable, long-term picture. But this alternative data, it gives us the speed. It gives us the detail to spot economic turning points way, way faster than we ever could before.
Okay, so we have all this amazing, high-res, real-time data. But what's the point if we're just plugging it into an old, clunky dashboard? The economy has been completely rewired by technology, so doesn't it make sense that we need to rewire the very statistics we use to measure it? I mean, for decades, the big number everyone cared about was GDP, gross domestic product. But the thing is, it has huge blind spots in our modern world. So much of what drives our economy today, like intangible assets, think software, data, or all those free digital services we use constantly, it's either counted badly or just completely invisible to GDP.
And let's put a number on that to see how big a deal this is. The value of all those free digital services, your social media, your search engines, is estimated to be worth about 8% of the UK's entire nominal GDP. That is a staggering amount of economic value that we're basically pretending doesn't exist.
So what does a modern economic dashboard even look like? Well, for starters, it means we have to update our main indicators. We need to capture what actually drives growth and well-being today. That means measuring things like investment in software and data, finally accounting for the value of those free services, and, this is a big one, integrating measures of sustainability and social well-being. That's how you get a complete picture.
And hey, this isn't just a challenge for the big advanced economies. These new tools, like something called nowcasting, are absolutely revolutionary, especially in developing economies where good data can be hard to come by. These tools use all sorts of high-frequency data. We're talking everything from satellite images of city lights at night to Google search trends to give real-time economic forecasts. It's like giving policymakers a clear view when before, they were pretty much flying blind.
All right, this new level of clarity from data brings us to our next big topic. How do we think about national economic resilience? Because in the age of AI, believe me, the rules of the game are changing again. We tend to think of AI as this abstract thing, right? Just code floating around in the cloud. But the reality is much more down to earth. The AI revolution is actually a race for physical resources, and whoever controls those resources is going to have a huge say in who dominates the future. First up, let's talk energy. Data centers are just incredibly power-hungry. Right now, they slurp up about 1.5% of the world's electricity. To put that in perspective, that's more than the entire country of France. And with AI driving things, that demand is expected to more than double by 2030. This isn't some minor detail, it's a massive physical bottleneck for the whole digital revolution. And then you've got these major choke points in the supply chain. The special chips you need for AI,
They're mostly designed by just one company and made in pretty much one location. And to build them, you need this cocktail of critical minerals, things like gallium and germanium. And get this, the refining for many of these minerals is super concentrated, with China controlling somewhere between 80 to 90% of the global supply. Suddenly, access to these specific resources becomes a huge indicator of a country's economic resilience.
But look, resilience isn't just about physical stuff. As AI gets better and better at handling all the routine tasks, our uniquely human skills, well, they become our most valuable asset. So what exactly is that human edge? It comes down to things like curiosity, critical thinking, adaptability, and self-regulation. See, an AI is great at processing information that already exists, but it needs us to ask the new questions to generate the new knowledge that it can then learn from. In the long run, AI is only ever going to be as good as the human creativity that's feeding it.
And building that resilience isn't just about what you have inside your own borders, whether that's physical resources or human skills. In a world that feels more and more uncertain, it's also about strengthening ties with your neighbors. Building up regional economic partnerships is another really important way for countries to handle global instability and just secure their economic footing.
But let's be really clear about something. All of these powerful new tools we've been talking about, alternative data, AI, new metrics, they all depend on one single and honestly pretty fragile foundation. And that is trust.
And you don't just get trust for free. It has to be built through strong collaboration. The future of good economic policy really depends on a solid partnership between three key players: the independent national statistical officers, the private companies that have all this new data, and the government leaders who have to use it to make decisions.
I mean, think about it. In an age of so much misinformation, where data can be twisted and manipulated, these independent offices, the NSOs, they've never been more important. They're the ones who provide the benchmark of truth. They're the solid ground that all other data, new and old, can be measured against. They are, quite literally, the guardians of data integrity.
So, to do that job, they have to be protected and they have to be empowered. And what does that mean? It means ensuring they're legally independent from political pressure. It means giving them the money and resources they need to innovate and work with all these new data sources. And it means supporting them as they build public trust by being completely transparent.
So, that brings us full circle. The world has been totally rewired by data. The economy is fundamentally different. And the biggest question now, for policymakers and for all of us really, is this: are our decisions, our measurements, and our way of thinking ready for this new reality?